yeah. So it
Oh.
was all over Vancouver. So wherever you were in the city, you could essentially because there was pretty much at least one or two comedy shows happening in Vancouver every night, and so yeah, so it was like a good uh like so you couldn't blame the room is
Yeah.
whereas like, oh well, just this crowd doesn't like me, or this owner doesn't like me, or whatever.
You're like, Vancouver doesn't like you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The whole city doesn't like you. It's not limited to a room.
Exactly. It was humbling. It was very humbling, yes.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This is season 6 of Woefully Funny. This week, my guest is Ottawa-based comic Brad Doiron. Brad and I met over the last year performing in Ottawa, and this year he's a finalist in the Absolute Comedy Prove You're a Comic competition. So welcome to the show, Brad.
No, thanks for having me.
So before we get started, can you share your social media?
Yeah, for sure.
handles, I
Yeah.
guess?
Yeah. People can follow me on Instagram at Brad underscore Doiron. That's Doiron. Or if you just search Brad Doiron, you'll find me. I'm also on TikTok at some people say Brad.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Thank you. So I will
No problem.
include those social media handles in the show notes. So
Sounds
so
good.
welcome to the show. Thank you so much
Good. Yeah.
for being here. So I think we met at Laugh Lounge.
Yeah, I think it was the first time I saw
Yeah.
you perform.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we met at last year's Absolute Comedy.
Yes.
And yeah, the one that you won. But yeah,
Thanks.
and yeah, but yeah, and it just yeah, it was nice meeting, because it's great meeting older comedians, or like not 20-year-old comedians.
Yes.
It's you can there's a little bit more camaraderie, so it's it was nice. Yeah, it was nice meeting you then anyway, for sure.
Yeah, same here. Because yeah, it is it's always nice to meet someone that's closer to your age, that's not,
Yeah,
not that we're old, but
no, exactly. I mean, 20-year-olds are fine and everything,
yeah.
but
Oh yeah.
their life problems are, a little bit more mundane.
Yeah, exactly. They don't have the life experience.
No, exactly. Yeah. And they're,
Yeah.
they're always up late, and I go to bed early, and
Same.
it's hard to party.
Yeah, I can't keep up.
No, not at all. No.
Up too late, everything's so loud. Like I can't do it.
It's true.
So how long have you been doing stand-up?
I've been doing it a little over 10 years now. Kind of not necessarily on and off, but like in terms of like pursuing it hardcore, and just kind of doing it for fun. Definitely when I started, I started in Ottawa. Absolute was my first club, and then moved to Vancouver about a year and a half in, and then really went hard in Vancouver with it. And then my wife and I, we moved to Prince Edward Island. So we were in Vancouver for about 5 years, and we moved to Prince Edward Island, and there really wasn't a big comedy scene there. Obviously,
Right.
There's not really anything other than lobsters. But so like I did comedy here and there, but it was like maybe like once or twice a month. But because and there was a handful of comedians on the island. But yeah, and then I opened up a business, so I really didn't have time for comedy, and it was like a good year where I didn't do it. But then when the pandemic hit, PI was open. Like we weren't, like people weren't allowed to come on the island, but all of our restaurants and theaters and everything,
Okay.
they were all open.
Right. Because you
So
were isolated just by being an island. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was like no COVID cases. It was like at least for the first 2 years anyway, and then there was a handful of comedians that moved, that were either from the island or had some sort of a relationship to PEI, so they ended up moving to PEI just to like one, get away from isolation in like Toronto or something like that.
Right.
And then so then there was like enough comedians to like close out shows and
Oh,
to
wow.
be able to do shows. So I kind of got roped back into it, and then just fell in love with it again, and now have been pursuing it, pretty hard for the last couple of years now. But it's yeah, I think comedy is kind of going to be that for the rest of my life.
Same.
Is
Same.
like it's always going to be there, and I'm always going to do it to the severity that I do it and pursue it. It will change, but I love doing it. So yeah.
Oh yeah, same,
Yeah,
same.
exactly.
And I love the fact that we can go to other cities, and one of the first, before I look up family or
Yeah,
anything, it's like,
yeah,
is there somewhere I can perform? Like, can I get on a stage
yeah. I
in
know.
in this
Yeah,
area?
and
Like
it's
we
great
all do
because
that. Yeah.
yeah, and you always have a couch to crash on. Like you all, like comedians are very supportive like that. So like
Hmm.
yeah. There's like yeah, pretty much every major city in the country, I have a couch to crash on, which is
Oh,
great.
that's
So
cool.
yeah,
That's
for
cool.
sure.
That's cool.
The
Yeah.
scene in Halifax has really blown up in the last. I mean, there's always been a decent comedy scene. There's always been a Yucks there, and Francois Weber. He's the person that runs it. He's great.
Yeah.
Super supportive of the scene. But there's lots of independent rooms and stuff like that now,
Hmm.
and like yeah, it's always been good because like this hour's 22 minutes is filmed there, and all the
Yeah.
writers are there, so that really helps to support the scenes. A big fringe community there and stuff like that. But yeah, Halifax is definitely one of the better scenes now in
Hmm.
the country, I
Yeah,
would
I had a
say.
good
But
time.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I hope, I'd love to go back. I'm hoping to go back like next year or something, like next spring or something,
Yeah.
because when I went there, I've been to Halifax, I think 5 times. This was the first time going for comedy.
Okay.
And it was the first time I went when it wasn't like the dead of winter,
It
sort
sucks
of
in the winter.
thing.
The Maritimes suck in the winter. Yeah,
Like, it was
it's
still
pretty bad.
beautiful. And I was
Oh
like, I
yeah.
loved it. I loved it. But I was like, imagine if I was here in like the spring or summer or something.
Yeah,
So
it's so
I was
good.
quite happy when I went in. It was like mid-September,
Yeah,
mid to
exactly.
late
Yeah.
September, and it was beautiful, just
But
absolutely
yeah,
beautiful.
the Maritimes it's great for comedy now. There's like, because it's all relatively close, so you don't really have to drive more than you know like 3-4 hours to get to a place. But like you can do little tours around there. Moncton's got rooms. There's a
Hmm.
club in St. John now, Punchlines, which is great. PI always has shows. There's like it's like more of a music club, but they do comedy a lot too, like 3-4
Hmm.
times a month. And then yeah, there's tons of opportunity in the Maritimes for comedy for
Yeah,
sure.
that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Because I saw recently, and I know before we got on, you had mentioned that you're doing a show
yeah,
in
yeah,
PEI. Like, when is that, and like what, like how did that come about?
yeah. It'll be yeah, August 13th is when the show is. It's at Trailside Music Hall. So when they like good friends of mine, Dan Hendricken and Claire Belford, they both moved to the island during the pandemic, and they were like, Claire specifically, like really lit a fire under my ass to get back into comedy, and they recorded an album, so I hosted for them, and just like performed a few times at Trailside. So like never my own show, never as the main act. So the owner, Pat, he reached, like before I left PEI last year, he said, yeah, when you're ever back, you know, and we'll, like, yeah, do a show together. And I have so much family there and everything, and
Yeah.
they all want to see me. And I don't like for them coming out, you know, because in PEI you usually just do like 6-7 minutes somewhere, you know, and
Okay.
so it's like, yeah, you can come out, but then, you know, there's like another hour and a half of
Yeah.
you know.
Yes, I'm only up for the six
Yeah,
minutes
exactly,
of the
yeah, so
90. Yeah.
yeah, so it's nice, you know, being able to do like a longer set for, you know, family and stuff, because they often don't get the chance to see me, so but
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah,
So are you doing 30 minutes or
yeah.
longer, or?
Yeah, doing well, yeah, doing about 40-45.
Oh,
So
nice,
yeah,
nice.
so it'll be like, it's yeah, because when I was on the island, I had written a lot, but it was all PEI focused. So I couldn't, like, it doesn't really translate well in Ottawa. So it'll be nice to be able to like revisit those jokes and you know, you try to write some new you know, more topical island stuff, because
Hmm.
it's a weird province.
Um, how has your experience with the competition been? Because
Oh,
I
it's
find it grueling. It was
Yeah,
grueling.
yeah. I mean, like I'm not looking. Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to performing, but like, you know, because you do Tuesday to Sunday, what it's like 7 shows,
Yeah,
or like 8 or 9 shows. Yeah, it's just going to be a lot. I work early. Yeah, it's that's going to be grueling. I do like performing at Absolute is great. It's like
oh
going
yeah,
to the spa. You know,
yeah,
it's
it's
so
fun.
it's like the crowds are always so hot and yeah, like two of the other people in the finals I don't really know well. So hopefully, you know, like a friend or something gets in, because there's one more week, and then the bye week,
Yeah,
or
the
like,
wild card. Yeah.
yeah, the wild card person. So um but yeah, I mean, like, the club's great. You know, the staff is really good. But it is, yeah, it is going to be long, and
Hmm.
I honestly don't really care all that much about the competition. It's more just for the owner to see you perform consistently. You know,
Yes.
like yeah, like I'm obviously, like, you know, I'm in the finals, so I'm doing well joke wise. But it's just for them to see you, you know, it'd be great to win, you know, but like, I'm not too concerned about, because I'll essentially get a weekend out of it
Definitely.
anyway, you know.
Definitely. Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
then be able to, you know, like finagle a weekend in Toronto maybe, and like, you know, it's I don't like, just getting the finals or even the semifinals really helps,
Oh, for
because like,
sure.
yeah, because like Jason, the owner, like he because I was in the comp when I first started 10 years ago, but he didn't remember. Uh, so it was nice, like last year when I was in the comp, like it gave me that you know, that foot in the door to be able to start texting him, and, you know,
Right.
start getting more shows, because like like yeah, because Ottawa's pretty easy to navigate, but yeah, definitely clubs, like, it's much harder to get in, because
Yeah.
there is a lot of talent here.
Yes, that's what I
So
was
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
say.
for
Like
sure.
the
Hmm.
city is for the size of the scene,
Hmm.
it has we have a very high proportion of like very strong, talented
Yeah, yeah,
comedians.
for
You know, I
sure.
don't know if it's the water or what, but there's something
Yeah.
about Ottawa that churns out a lot of
Oh,
strong
for sure.
comics. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's one of the better spots right now to like cut your teeth on comedy. Like, if you're like a new comic, like, most people want to go to Toronto, and like unless you want to like physically live in Toronto, because, you know, Toronto's a great city,
Hmm.
but it, like, comedy's really hard there, and
Yeah.
it can be, you know, pretty toxic from time to time.
Right.
Because I cut my teeth in Vancouver, and I was there when Vancouver comedy was like that was probably the best scene in the country at the
Oh
time.
wow.
It's not so much anymore. The COVID really hurt the scene there, because they used to have three clubs. There was a Yucks, there was Comedy Mix, which was like a, like an Absolute of the West essentially, and then there was another club in New Westminster. So there was lots of club time, so many little independent shows happening, and there was a lot of like good comedians that were taking it seriously. But then, yeah, the pandemic, like Comedy Mix shut down, Yuck shut down.
Oh,
So yeah, so and then like everyone who was kind of like in my cohort, all like left
okay.
left Vancouver. So it really sort of hurt the scene there. And yeah, I've heard a lot of people say it's not what it was.
Mm.
Yeah, hopefully it comes back. But
Yeah, hopefully,
yeah, but
hopefully.
like Ottawa now, I think there's three clubs. There's tons of great little independent
Hmm.
rooms. You're close to Montreal, close to Toronto. Like
Yeah,
it's the place to cut your
yeah, it's
teeth in comedy
ideal.
right now for sure. Hmm.
Yeah, it's true. Like I lived in Toronto for, well, I was born and raised in Montreal.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I moved to Toronto in 2002, and I lived there till 2019 when I moved here. And I'd wanted to start there, but I was too
Yeah.
afraid.
Yeah.
I didn't start till I moved here. And even though like logically it's like, yeah, you would think you would start in Toronto because just it's bigger, there are more clubs, more opportunities. But I think for myself at least, that would have been too overwhelming.
Yeah, yeah,
That would have
yeah.
been way too
Oh,
overwhelming,
yeah. I mean, there's so many. Like we were counting one. There's like like 2,000 comedians in. I mean, maybe like a fraction of that are
Are
like
active, yeah.
yeah, are like active comedians, but like just people going to open mics, and people that maybe like perform like 3-4 times a year. Like there's so many in Toronto that like it does really dilute, whereas like Vancouver at the time didn't really have that many. There was maybe only like 70 to 80 comedians, so there
Mm,
was there was lots of opportunity. But it was also like one bad thing about Ottawa is that there's no film community here, so there's no real like representation. There's no
mm,
real like agents and managers and stuff.
right.
Like it's harder to find those here, whereas Toronto and Vancouver,
Yeah,
that's where the industries are. So
exactly.
it's easier to find that type stuff. Whereas like hopefully like Film Ottawa picks up a little bit. I mean, they do all the Hallmark movies here, but
Yeah, that's the thing. They do a lot of Christmas movies
yeah,
here.
yeah. Christmas in July all the time
Yeah,
on Spark Street. Yeah, yeah. But
exactly. Oh my goodness. But I know with the uh what I did with the competition last year, just because of age, because I'm not 25 or something, I took the
yeah.
week off.
Oh,
I,
did
t-
you? Yeah,
I took
yeah,
the week off work because I was like, there is no way that I
yeah,
can
yeah.
work all day and then
Oh,
because
I
it's
know.
just it's beyond just performing off it. Like there is that competition
Yeah.
edge to it as well, but it's grueling because I think last year we did 8 shows because there was a late show on Friday as well.
Oh, okay,
So it was
okay.
like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 2 shows Friday, 2 shows
Two shows
Saturday,
Saturday,
and
and then the
Sunday,
Sunday.
and
Oh
then the
my God. Yeah.
Sunday. And to
Yeah.
stay like I'll tell you, like the key is consistency,
Yeah.
to be
Yeah, for sure.
consistent across the board. Like I never do well. When I say I don't do well, I don't mean I bomb. But for like late
Yeah.
shows are not.
Well, the crowds
Yeah,
are always rowdier, and
yeah,
they're drunker, and yeah, like definitely I hope for the late shows that I'm like up earlier in the night, because yeah, well, yeah, especially like the shows that start at 10:30, like
yeah.
people are half cut to begin
Hmm.
with, and then and so yeah.
Yeah, it's a very different vibe than
Hmm.
say
Hmm.
like the 8 o'clock or the 8:30 crowd.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, I didn't. I think that the 2 times that I didn't place
Hmm.
during the week were the late shows. The
Oh,
late
really? Yeah,
shows,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. And I know
Yeah.
they do this. They're probably. I'm sure they'll do it again. Is that they'll only announce first place and second place.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Because
Yeah.
otherwise, you
Yeah.
can calculate. You can do calculations
Yeah, yeah.
and stuff.
It
You
was
know?
it was pretty tight for my semifinal this year. It was a three-way tie
Oh yeah.
uh for first, and but because I had won, I got second both nights. Like the Wednesday and the Thursday night, I got second both nights, whereas uh like the other two comedians each got first and third, but like, and then it flipped the other night. So
Yeah.
anyway, so it
That was similar
so
for me. Yeah.
yeah,
That
exactly.
first
So
week.
yeah, it was real like tortoise in the hare sort of
Yeah.
scenario where just
Yeah.
go for that steady,
Yeah. Just stay
steady
steady.
second
Just
place.
exactly stay steady. Because the same thing had happened with, because the first night, with
Mm.
like when you start with the 9, I think I was third because they had
Oh,
announced
okay,
as
yeah,
like the
yeah,
top
yeah,
5, and I think I was
yeah,
third or something. Yeah, third or fourth, something like
yeah,
that. And then the first semifinal, the first night of 5, like the Wednesday night, I think I placed second.
yeah,
I think I placed second both nights, the Wednesday and the Thursday. But because like first place placed third and third place placed first or something
yeah, yeah.
with the
That's
ordinals,
always
and
happens.
then
Yeah.
based on I can't remember if the Tuesday night counted or if it started from scratch for the Wednesday
Oh,
Thursday.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't remember, but I was second both nights and they
yeah,
had switched, so that's how I got.
yeah. It's it's a lot of weird math for comedians, and they're not really good at that stuff. So yeah, I
Exactly.
don't know. I don't know. I'm sure if the results were audited on some level, there things would be very different. But whatever. What are you gonna do?
Well, what I found fascinating last year was like in the final last year, there were 5 of us and like 5
Hmm.
pretty different styles.
Hmm.
We were told that all of us at one point, like during the course of the finals, all of us placed first at
Oh,
least
okay. Yeah,
once,
yeah. At least
and all
once.
of us
Yeah.
placed last at least.
Oh, yeah.
I remember I won one night. I won, I think, the Wednesday night, like the
Yeah.
third night or something. But most of the time I was like second,
Yeah.
except for
Exactly. Yeah.
those 2. Yeah, there were 2 nights that I didn't play. So I'm sure one of those nights I placed
Yeah.
last.
Yeah. Exactly. I know.
The late show.
It's so weird. And but it is nice that, they're doing it. Oh, like they take, like 8 shows, and then they're taking the
Yeah.
average of those 8 shows. I think that's the most fair. Like, yeah, the absolute competition is the most, I think, fair competition out there. I've done a fair amount of competitions over the years, but yeah, and I do love doing it. It's the camaraderie, and it kind of
Mhm.
like gives like some stakes to it,
Yes.
even though it doesn't really matter. But like there was one competition in Vancouver. It was called the People's Champ, and it was a comedian, Patrick Maliha, um, and he would run it. The year I did it, the prize, I think, was 2 grand.
Mm.
But the year before it was 20 grand.
20.
20 grand, yeah. So it essentially like allowed you to be a comedian for a
Yeah.
year. And
20.
yeah, Shirley Nome, I think, was the last one. She's like a musical comedian. But yeah, she was the one to win the last big People's Champ. And but yeah, that was a weird competition because it wasn't like venue specific. It was like you would perform at all the different independent rooms around the city.
Oh.
So the competition would take over the room.
Oh.
And
It wasn't
then
at like one place
no,
for.
no, yeah. So it
Oh.
was it was all over Vancouver. So wherever you were in the city, you could essentially like, because there was pretty much at least one or two comedy shows happening in Vancouver every night. And so yeah, so it was like a good like, so you couldn't blame the room, is,
Yeah.
whereas like, oh well, just this crowd doesn't like me, or this owner, doesn't like me, or whatever.
You're like, Vancouver doesn't like you.
Yeah, yeah.
The
It
whole
was
city doesn't like you. It's not limited to a room.
exactly. It was humbling. It was very humbling. Yes.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I think the way it's run is I like how it's run, because
Yeah,
it's
for sure. Yeah,
because I think that I think it's more realistic that
yeah,
like some days you're gonna be like you're gonna have a hot night, and other
yeah,
nights, you're tired or whatever, and you're not gonna
yeah,
be as strong. And
yeah, yeah,
it's about, and I think it gives like the owner and like other people like the opportunity to see what you're like under pressure.
yeah, for
Under
sure.
pressure, and
Yeah,
like like you've got to perform for these like 7 or 8 shows. Like what's your demeanor like?
yeah, yeah.
What's your demeanor?
And can you stay consistent? Yeah,
Yes,
exactly. Yeah.
yes,
Can you be
yes.
funny at 9:30? Like, yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
and
exactly,
so,
exactly.
but it's also like the feedback, like a lot of comps don't really sit down with you afterwards, but Absolute takes it very seriously, and they sit you down and talk to you about what you're doing well, and
Yeah,
areas to
that was
improve.
invaluable. Yeah,
Yeah, because you don't really get that. Well, like I never, like I find a lot of people now are doing those little comedy courses, which are great. I never did that, so I never really like when I first started, never really got to like find out what the milestones were for comedy. Like, what am I supposed to do? Because
yeah,
there's no course. Well, like there's no set schedule for anything.
right.
But until you get to meet some of the pros, and until you get to meet some more like seasoned people, you're really just like shooting in the dark, essentially,
Yeah,
with what you're supposed to do. And you're thinking you're supposed to be new stuff all the time, and
yeah. I didn't
like
know that when I first
yeah,
started. It
yeah,
was
like
like, oh,
yeah, that's the main advice I give to people, when they ask for advice. But is just like, don't worry about doing new stuff. Just polish that 7 minutes until
hmm,
you know it backwards and forwards. Because then you become comfortable riffing. Like,
yes,
once
yes,
you have something to fall back on that works, then you feel comfortable breaking away from that script,
yes,
and like
yes.
riffing a little bit, and that's what makes you a good comedian, is like understanding that the audience is there.
Exactly, that the
And
audience can
yeah,
say or
yeah,
anything can
exactly.
happen. It's
Yeah,
beyond your control,
yeah,
but
there
you
is
still
that.
have
Yeah,
to be able to,
yeah,
either pick up where you left off or
yeah.
work with
Yeah,
what's
exactly. Yeah.
happening. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because it's
yeah.
it's ultimately you're making that connection. That's why, like, I always hate when comedians say, like, they're like, "Oh, I guess that one's for me," and it's just like, no, none of them are for you.
Yeah,
It's all for the audience. That's the
yes,
whole point of this.
yeah,
Is
yeah. You're
it's
getting up
you're
there to entertain them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, they're paying money to see you do jokes. If you're doing bad jokes, then you need to find new
Hmm.
jokes. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Exactly. Because I know like things at the beginning, I don't know if it was the same for you. Like say the first, I haven't been doing it that long.
Yeah,
It'd be 4 years for me
yeah.
in September. But I could say maybe up until maybe early 2022. So say up until about a year ago, I used to rush through
Oh,
my
okay. Yeah,
sets because
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
oh, I've got 6 minutes or I've got 10 minutes. I want to do all my jokes, like all these, I want to do all of these jokes
Yeah.
in the allotted number of times. And it wasn't until I can't remember who it was, but I think it was somebody seasoned. So it was either like either Howard or Jason or a
Yeah.
seasoned pro who was like, slow down,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
slow
for sure.
down. It was like, but I got all this stuff like this.
Yeah, yeah.
And I felt that that's when things started to change.
Yeah,
And
for
in terms
sure.
of like my confidence on stage and just being comfortable when I slowed down. And I thought slowing down would be like, oh God, like, but
Yeah,
because they said, whoever it was, I can't remember for the life of me right now, but they said slow it down and listen,
yeah,
because I was just like sort of thing.
yeah.
And even though I record all my sets and everything, I didn't realize that I was like stepping on laughter.
Yeah, yeah,
You
there
know
is
what I
that.
mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah, whenever I have, like a 6 minute set or a 7 minute set, I'll always time my jokes for a minute less, just to give me that, so I can joke around with the crowd at the beginning,
Yeah.
and it's true. It's hard to not step on your own laughs, because
Yeah.
like also the audience needs time to sort of like absorb it,
Mm.
and especially in like Vancouver, everyone was high all the time, so it took a
The
it took a
delay.
little, yeah, there was always a little bit of a delay for jokes, so yeah, I really learned to like incorporate that into my cadence of just like taking a pause, taking a break, allowing the audience to sort of like digest that joke, even though they may not be like hard laughing, but just like let them let that sink in and then move on, because
Yeah.
yeah, you see comedians that they're just like a mile a minute and the audience isn't keeping up, and
Yeah,
then yeah,
exactly.
and then they're just not
Exactly.
listening anymore, so
Right. Because they could still be laughing from something and you've moved on.
yeah.
Like,
Exactly, yeah.
at least that's what was happening with me. It's like I didn't realize, like I would hear them laughing and be like, okay, that worked, and just keep
Yeah.
going, sort of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
I know I was very fixed on, well, I have 6 minutes or 8 minutes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get all of these jokes in.
Yeah,
I
I
want to
know,
say
I
all of
know.
these bits and get it in. But it's now I think also a bit more experience. It's
Yeah,
like I'll have a set in my head, and it's like if I have time, I'll put these like this one or two in,
yeah,
depending
for
on how
sure.
it goes, because you could tell how the flow is going and everything.
Yeah,
But say before, if say for a 10-minute set, I would try and do 12 bits and be like,
yeah,
blah, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah. Now
yeah,
I'll probably schedule like 7 or 8,
yeah.
but like I'm not rushing. I can take my time. I can listen. I can pause and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And I found that just slowing down changed everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
changed everything.
Yeah, and it also like depends how you write. Like I'm not really like a one-liner type joke person. Like
Same.
all of my jokes are like, it's like a 5 minute joke with just like, peppered with jokes, but the jokes they can't be told like independently of each other. They kind of have to be told.
Yes.
So like trying to force myself to write a little bit differently, where I'm able to just like especially for hosting. Like I don't love hosting. I don't do it a
Same.
lot, but it is a skill, and it's something I'm trying to work on, where you're able to just have those little jokes that like between comics or whatever, then you don't have to like have this big setup to make the punch make sense, so
Mm-hmm.
it's yeah, it's trying to write differently like that, but yeah, like it's all just trying to come up with little challenges for yourself,
Right.
just to make it interesting because
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
joke writing's so boring, and I hate it. I
It
hate writing
is.
jokes.
And
Yeah.
then sometimes we're like, what's the word, like immune almost, because it's like, is this funny? Like,
Yeah, exactly. It's
because we're just
true.
so
It's true.
used to hearing it, used to consuming it, used to
Yeah.
saying it, that it's like it's almost like you like your taste, like how your taste buds get numb to
Yeah,
certain things, like you
exactly.
don't
Yeah.
taste it anymore,
No.
sort of thing. And it's like,
Yeah.
is it funny, or am I trying too hard to be
Yeah, yeah.
funny? Sort of
Yeah.
thing.
I always try it out on my wife, and usually like she'll just, be be very honest and just be like, that doesn't make any sense, or like that's too offensive, or so it's good to have somebody bounce that isn't a comedian and won't kind of like look at it that way. Yeah, no, it's I don't know, like, do you physically write jokes down when you write jokes?
I do, but I don't have I don't set aside time. I'm not like,
No,
okay,
yeah,
at
yeah,
2 o'clock every day, I'm going to sit down and write
yeah.
6 jokes, or I'm going to write for 20 minutes. Like I've tried that. I
No,
can't do it.
I can't do that
I
either.
can't
No.
do it at all. But if a thought comes to me, like I'll grab my phone and I'll start like
Yeah,
putting notes or something. But
yeah, exactly.
there's no like, this is my writing time sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just whenever it hits me, and I tend to, I think it, because I was talking to somebody else about this, and I find that either I can fix bits that I'm working on, or I come up with like ideas when I'm distracted, like if I'm washing
Yeah,
dishes or I'm doing
that's exactly it. Yeah.
something like some repetitive task that I don't really have to put a lot of thought in, that my brain can just sort of relax. That's
Yeah,
when I
yeah,
guess the
exactly. Yeah.
creative juices start flowing. So
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, because like I work with my hands, so like I don't have to think for my job at all, really. So I'm able to constantly just go over bits. But yeah, I haven't like I'll physically type out a joke once it's like polished and done,
mhm,
just to have it recorded somewhere.
yes, yes,
But yeah, like when I'm developing a joke, I never write it down, because
no,
I find it just makes it stale and kind of boring.
yeah,
But yeah, and then I like edit on stage, so I'll try something out and I think it's funny, but then it's not. But then something that I didn't think was very funny became funny. So
yes, yes,
you're kind
yes.
of like you need to edit on stage. The hard thing is finding a good stage to be able to
Yeah,
edit
that's the
on.
thing. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
I don't know if it's the same for you, but like if I come up with a bit, like I have one friend that we would, if she has a bit or I have a bit, we'll like text it to each other,
yeah.
or like do a voice note or something like that, which works. So she'll send me
Hmm.
something and I'll be like, "Oh, that's funny," or she'll send me something and say, "I don't know how to finish this," or
Yeah.
"Should I say this or say that?" And because it's new and fresh for me, I can come up with something like, "How about try this or try that?" And so we can
Hmm.
do that. But when it comes to, I can't like explain a joke. Like let's say we were like how we're talking now, and I'm like, "Oh, I was thinking of this bit. It goes like this." I can't just explain it. Like I
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
do it.
yeah,
And then
for
that
sure,
feels
for sure.
it feels awkward, like to do it just
Yeah, it's like when somebody says like, "Tell me a joke," and it's just like, no,
no. That's not how this
that's not how
works.
it works. Yeah, yeah. I'm not just doing street jokes here. Like, these are things
Exactly.
I've written that are like
Hmm.
need context. And
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Like the other day, I was talking with I won't say his name. I was talking with a mutual
Yeah.
friend, and I was like, "Oh, I have this bit," and it's almost like he shuts off, because he'll come to me and say, "Oh, like I'm working on this, like what do you think?" And I'll be like, "Oh, that sounds great." Like I'm actively listening, but it seems like when I do it, he shuts off. And it's frustrating
Yeah.
because this was like, what, Saturday today? It was like Thursday or something. We were on the phone
Hmm.
and I was like, "Oh yeah, I was working on this thing today." He's like, "Oh, what is it?" And so I started telling him, and I told him the whole thing from start to finish. And I
Yeah.
was like, "I'm not sure if I should end it like this or if I should end it like that." And he said, "Oh, I'd have to hear the whole thing." And I'm like, um,
I just did.
"I just did it." I said, "I just did the whole thing for you." Like,
Go on.
I was so mad.
I know. I know.
It was so frustrating. So I was like, "Okay, note to self.
Yeah.
Unless it's on stage, I'm not asking him anymore," because I was so frustrated.
Yeah. I know. I know. God.
because he was not listening. I would have
No.
preferred if he said, you know what, don't tell me because I'm not going to listen.
Yeah,
I am
that would have
distracted.
be a little bit
I'm
more
not paying
honest.
attention. Instead of like, yeah, oh wow. Uh let me think about that because I'll have to hear it from start to finish. And I was like,
God,
I just told you.
that's pretty sad.
I was like so frustrated. I was so mad.
Oh God.
But I like a lot of times, like say other than like because I don't bounce stuff off people very
Yeah,
often.
yeah,
So it's like I will work on something and edit it and stuff like that. Sometimes I could do it fairly quickly, sometimes it takes longer. But when it's to the point where I'm like, oh, I'd like to try it,
yeah,
I just take it to the stage. And usually,
yeah,
like you were saying before, like once you have to say it out loud on
yeah,
stage in front of people to really get like the rhythm and the wording and
yeah.
work those
Exactly. Yeah,
kinks out with it.
Mhm. Yeah.
But
Yeah, there's like a few little workout rooms, and like I don't expect the joke to be good at all the first time I say it. I
mhm.
just need to say it.
Yes,
So I
yes.
expect a bomb,
Mhm.
which happens a lot. But when yeah, just to get the beats down, and just so you can like, because I have a really hard time, like I have a really bad memory, so it's like it's hard for me to remember a new joke.
Yeah,
Like
same.
once I'm done the joke a lot, like I remember jokes from like 8-9 years ago that I haven't told in like 5-6 years, but I can like remember them verbatim now because I've done them. So, but like a
Right.
new joke that I've just written, and yeah, oh, I always forget. Like, yeah, and then you get off, and you're just like, oh, I forgot that
Yeah.
part. So, but it forces you to like, okay, well, that's why I got to get up again.
Mhm.
That's why I got to
Exactly.
come back to Swizzles again,
Right.
and perform in front of two people and like four other comedians
Who aren't listening.
who aren't listening. Yeah, exactly. I love that room though.
Yeah, it's fun. I haven't been in a while, but
Oh,
it's
it's a
always
real
fun.
love hate. It's just around the block for me, so which is
Okay.
I can walk there pretty easy. But it's yeah. I mean, the bar is just really fun, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's always you never feel good after coming off Swizzles.
Yeah, nobody ever kills at Swizzles.
No, 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 no. Anyway,
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But I know if this has happened to me a bunch of times, and either I would not have known, like two scenarios could happen. Either like if I hadn't recorded it, I would never have known, sort
oh
of
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Like I
exactly, yeah,
would
yeah,
say, like I would be doing say a bit that I'm familiar with. It's not something new. It's something that I know usually works. And it doesn't, not that it bombs per se, but it
yeah,
doesn't get the reaction that it usually gets. And I'm like, well, why aren't they laughing? They usually laugh at this point. Like, why aren't they
yeah,
laughing? Sort of thing. And one time, a few times, it was when I was reviewing my recording, I forgot like a
yeah,
key chunk of of the bit. And
yeah,
it's like, had I
exactly, yeah,
said that, yeah, then they would have reacted properly or reacted like the
yeah,
usual way. And it's like,
yeah.
oh,
I really hate listening to like old, but it isn't. I do record just audio record every set. Sometimes I'll like video record when I have a longer set, but yeah, I rarely listen back to them, but I do one when I have like a new joke and I want to see what happened, but um like mostly just in case something funny did happen,
yeah,
like, and then I can listen to that. But I really I hate watching myself. I hate listening to myself. It's but you got to do it.
yeah,
If you're not recording your sets and you're an up and coming comedian, that's you're doing something wrong. Yeah,
yeah.
for
Like
sure.
I'm used to it now. I'm
Yeah,
used to seeing myself on video. I'm used to hearing my voice, but it the first few times it was I was
So
is that what I sound like? Is that what I look like? Oh my God.
exactly.
And I used to have, at the beginning, I used to have this weird tick of just
Mm.
like playing with the cord, the mic
Oh,
cord.
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
just and looking down, and just it was like so annoying. But that was
Yeah.
how because I was like, oh, I'm not nervous, but clearly it
Yeah.
was, And so I had to
I
like
know.
work that out,
Yeah, there's a
you know.
lot of like I used to put my arm on my chest like this and like hold my chest, and like I didn't even know I was doing it, and then like yeah, people would just be like, "Why are you always hunging yourself on stage?" And it's just like, oh, I like yeah, there's so many little things that you
Yeah,
gotta
little ticks.
get rid
Yeah.
of. Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
yeah,
And
because
it's
one of
like
those, yeah, it still happens. Like I look when I something I do is I look down a lot.
yes, yeah, yeah.
I
Oh, I
do.
always look down. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta. I don't like looking at people in the audience unless I'm like actually talking to them. So it's like like yeah, I always tend to look over the audience, but that's
Hmm.
wrong. Like you need to look
Yeah,
at
you
them
need
in
to
the
connect
eyes,
with them.
but
Yeah, because that was
it's
something that
hard.
was brought up with me last year. Because I
Oh,
used to
okay, yeah,
do like a light tower, just
yeah,
like across the top, and just not looking at anyone, but it looks.
yeah,
I thought I looked like I was taking in the whole crowd,
yeah,
and Jason
exactly.
was
No,
like, either look
no,
at them or don't look at them.
yeah, yeah,
Don't do
exactly.
that.
I know. Oh, it's yeah, yeah. The like I love the audience, and I'm also terrified of the audience.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's but yeah, I mean, yeah, and I don't really like. I'm fine being in a crowd if I'm the center of attention, obviously, but yeah, I hate talking to people after shows, like
Okay.
people in the audience. Oh, it drives me. I'm just like, yeah, thanks for coming out.
I don't
Just
mind
like,
talking to them after, but like I'm
oh,
not a big chit
gosh.
chat person.
No, me
I'm
neither.
not a
Yeah,
chit chat person, so it's like I will make the effort
yeah,
to talk to them after the show, but it's like don't talk to me during. Like
yeah.
don't like shut
No,
up
yeah,
during
yeah,
the
yeah,
show.
exactly.
You know?
But I always say things like, "You were really funny." Yeah, you too. And it's just like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Uh, I'm so awkward with people, and usually like I never perform high, but like often I'll go smoke a joint after the set,
Mhm.
and I'm just an idiot high, so I'm very, very so I have no idea what I'm saying to people half the time.
And half the time I don't even like I don't know what to say,
Yeah,
you
yeah, it's
know?
just like thanks for coming out, I
Yeah.
guess. You're like that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Because
It's
if it's as they're walking, oh, that's great. When they're walking, it's
yeah,
like, oh yeah,
yeah,
thanks for coming. Take
yeah.
care. But when they stop and actually want to talk to you, I'm like,
I
I don't
know.
know what to say. Like, what are you gonna ask me? What do you want me to say? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
and because I wanna show like I appreciate you being here and taking the time to come and support us and laughing and all of that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
please don't talk to me beyond that. Like I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know. Unless you have something specific to ask me or
I know.
specific to say. Yeah,
I
the
don't
chit
know.
chat. I don't have the chit chat gene.
No. Yeah, like I went to Absolute Sophie Buttle. She's an old friend from Vancouver. She's there this week,
Oh, that's right. I did
and
see that.
she's great if you can go see it. She's so funny. But she's taking like selfies with people after. I'm just like, oh, that would drive me nuts. Yeah, I would be oh like strangers touching you and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't want that. I don't want that.
Because I've been hugged a few times.
Oh,
I've been
oh
hugged a few
no.
times.
Yeah.
And I remember when I did a weekend, this was in February. I think it was
Yeah.
mid-February. I did a weekend in Toronto at the club
Oh, okay. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Absolute in
Absolutely. Yeah.
Toronto. And I think it was the Sunday night. So I think it was the last night.
Yeah.
And these two men were in the audience, and they were like having fun and laughing, and like the type of audience members you want,
Yeah.
that
Good.
they're having fun, enjoying themselves. And so the show had ended. I was
Yeah.
doing a middle spot, so like I think I sat at the back afterwards or whatever. And so after the show, I remember getting my camera and going into the room, and I thought everybody was pretty much out of the room. And just as I was coming out of the green room, these two men walk by, and one guy's like, "I love you," and just grabs me
Oh
in this big hug, and I'm like,
no.
yes, and as he's holding me, he's like, "It's okay that I do this, right?"
After the fact,
After
yeah.
the fact, and I was like, "Oh, it's fine, it's fine." But it just caught me by surprise because, yeah, usually, at least most times that I've been hugged, people
Yeah.
it's as they're coming in, "Can I hug you?" So at least,
Yeah.
like, say in the event that it was like absolutely not, at least I could like I'd step away, or I could say, I'd rather not or something. But this was like,
Oh yeah, I
I
know.
didn't even
Yeah.
know what was happening.
It's people always want to touch my beard.
Oh, that's too
Oh,
personal. That's like, yeah,
yeah,
that's like, yeah,
yeah. I'm just like, no, don't.
no,
Yeah, no, you don't need to
that's
touch
too
my beard.
personal.
That's
That's too
fine.
personal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's close to my
yeah.
mouth.
Yeah,
That's too
exactly.
much.
That's on my face. Like, just
Yeah, exactly. It's too
exactly.
much.
It's too much. It's too
Oh,
much. I've had people want to touch my hair,
oh yeah, for
and it's
sure.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
please don't.
No, no, I
Please. So
know.
I'm gonna. You can ask, but I'll tell you no. It's the answer's no. No, you can't, or I'll
Yeah,
break your hand or
exactly. Yeah,
something.
yeah. Oh boy. Yeah.
Oh man, but when was this? This was last week. I had gone to the Yucks location to see
Okay.
one of the rounds of the competition. I haven't had a chance to go to see one at
At
Absolute yet,
Acid, yeah.
but I went last week, and the weekend before, the weekend before, I was doing a show there on a Saturday. It was run by Diane Scholl, and it
Oh,
was
okay.
the Funny Over 50.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I
there
remember
were
that show.
five or
Yeah.
six of us, and so they had posters in the like throughout the club. And I remember I
Yeah.
went to the washroom and I'm washing my hands, and there's a poster right there next to the sink, and this lady was waiting, and she's like, "Is that you?" And I went, "Yeah." And she's like, "That's so cool." She's like, I was like, "Ah." So I'm washing my hands. I'm like, "This is so weird." And she goes, I go to move to go to the towel. She's like, "No, don't move." She took a picture
Oh my God.
of
In the
me looking
bathroom.
in the mirror with the poster right there.
Who's who's gonna want to? That's like taking a picture of fireworks. Like no one's gonna want to see this.
And she sent it to me like this week.
Oh no.
She sent it, and I'm just like,
Oh, bless her.
she's like, "I saw you in Kingston, like in
Oh, really?
December.
Okay.
You were so funny." And what do you? It's just like I'm washing my hands in the bathroom, and there's a post, because I know when I went to wash my hands, and I was like, "Oh my God," it's weird,
It
And then
is. It is.
and then she took this strange picture of me in the mirror with the poster. Right?
It's super meta. Yeah.
It was so,
Oh my God.
it was so nuts.
It's
Oh,
yeah, it's well, I mean, like getting recognized at the comedy club is fine, but yeah, like
yeah.
somebody, when you're in the mall or something like that,
Mm.
or at work, and somebody's like, "Oh, hey, you're a comedian." It's
Say
just like,
something funny.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I hate
Oh,
that.
I
Yeah.
hate that. Are you? Hope you're not going to put this in your little skit.
Yeah. Or yeah, people. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Whenever you're somewhere and then they find out you're a comedian, it's just like, oh, there's lots of material here. It's like,
Oh, like, no,
no, no,
really, there is.
this is boring. Yeah.
Oh my God, because I find that I don't, like, if I'm, say, somewhere where I don't know people, or I don't know
Yeah.
many people, um and somebody asks me what I do, I don't tell them that I'm a comedian.
No,
I'm like, "Oh
no.
yeah, I work at the government. I'm a web
Yeah,
developer or
exactly.
something."
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And it's usually somebody else. They'll be like, "Oh no, she's a comedian.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, because then the next thing is like, "Tell us a joke," or
Yeah.
"Be
It's
funny," or something.
yeah. I've this old guy I work with, like, yeah, super sweet man, but yeah, he like found out that I did comedy, and he always wants to hear jokes, and I'm just like, you're not gonna get like that's not
Yeah,
how it happens. And he gets mad, and he's just like, oh, I gotta pay to see you now. I'm just like, yeah, that's the point of it.
that's how it works like this. Because the thing is, I don't know. I think they expect us to go like, you know, three rabbis walk into a bar and blah
Yeah,
blah blah, like that
exactly.
kind of
Yeah,
joke, like
yeah,
street
yeah,
joke sort of thing.
yeah.
And
I
I don't
know, I
think they
know.
understand that it's like these are like creative, like personal thing. Like it's
Exactly, yeah.
they're independent, like that everybody has their own style of jokes. It's not a
Yeah, I know.
we're
Yeah.
not memes.
No. Or like the people that like I have always wanted to do, like my dad. He's a lovely man, but he's turning 80 next year, and he wants to do a set. And I was just like, yeah, for sure, do it. I mean, he is very funny. He's very like he's always the MC at weddings and everything like that. And but he was just wanting to go to like the open mic in Charlottetown, and like get on that and do his. I'm just like, no, it's like I'll organize a show, and we'll give you 8 minutes. And
And you'll write for
and
those 8 minutes. You'll write
yeah,
for that show. Yeah.
yeah, for that show, and all your friends and family will be there, and it'll be good. But like, you're just going to be performing in front of a bunch of punk kids. Like,
Yeah, who
sure,
aren't listening.
yeah, like you may do well, but like this is a big thing for you. It's not going to be a big thing for the audience.
Right,
They're
right.
not going to care that this
Yeah.
is like a bucket list thing for you. Like you have to. But yeah, anyway, yeah, it'll be weird.
Like, because there you either run into people who think it's easy,
Yeah,
think that we just get up there and talk off the top of our
yeah,
heads,
yeah, exactly.
or they think it's like slaying a dragon.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
either
that's
like
true.
whoa or
Yeah,
easy
yeah,
sort
it's
of
like
thing, and
super easy or not.
and
Yeah, yeah,
it's a combination of those things, because
yeah.
there are people who or people like, and I'm sure you know people like this, who are funny in funny at at your company Christmas party, or funny at your backyard barbecue,
Hmm.
but it doesn't translate to the stage. Like they can't do
No.
it on the stage, sort of
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
and um I know, like I always knew it wasn't easy,
Yeah.
for as long as I can remember, like wanting to do comedy and being like interested, being a consumer of it before
Hmm. Hmm.
a performer, so decades before that. If it looks like they're making it up on stage, it's they've worked hard to make it
Yeah,
look
for
that,
sure. Yeah,
to make it look that casual, that it's not
yeah,
something that they've been honing for years. And
yeah, yeah. And it's
you know
like to make it like Mike Dambra. He's like, yeah. Well, yeah, he's a Canadian comedian, and he does a lot of crowd work. But when you go and see him multiple times, it's like the same crowd work. Yeah, like it's fresh in the sense of like his specific interaction with that specific person, but he's like a lawyer. He's asking leading questions all the time. So like the
Mhm.
crowd work is material.
Yes.
And But a lot of people don't realize that, because you go see Mike Dambra, and then like the first time you see him, you're just like, oh my god, he didn't tell a single joke. He just did crowd work for 45 minutes. And then you go see him like a couple months later, and you're like, oh, it's all written stuff.
Yeah,
Like
it's
he
all
he
prepared.
he
Yeah.
he works hard at that, which is, yeah.
Because
But
you might have one question, but
yeah,
then like
yeah, he's got
seven
so many
different,
different angles that he can
exactly,
jump on. And
depending
yeah,
on how the person reacts or what they say, that he can go in a
Yeah, it's like Spider-Man jumping through the multiverse. It's like he can just go and bing, bing, bang, and like pinball off of all these different premises that he has
Yeah.
jacked in his mind.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I don't know. And like a lot of people, there's a lot of people that want to try comedy, but they're not comedy fans, and it's just like you got to kind
You
of be a
gotta,
comedy
yeah, you
fan.
gotta be a
Yeah,
fan. You
yeah.
gotta be a fan.
One, like a fan of actually going and seeing. Like, I really don't like watching all the Netflix specials and stuff like that. I don't watch a lot of them, because I don't like comedy unless it's live.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I only like listening, like only like watching comedy live now. I
You
mean,
want to be in the room, yeah.
yeah, like I used to just absorb, everything before I did comedy. I listened to a lot of comedy and and watched all the specials and stuff like that. But like as soon as and I did go to comedy to see, and I loved it. But now it's like, I, yeah, one, I don't really have the attention span. So I can watch like a 50, like that's why I like TikTok and stuff, because
Yeah,
it's
just a little.
all these 2 minute clips that are up, yeah, and it's mostly crowd work and it's funny, but yeah, now I can't watch a special on Netflix anymore, or if I do, it's like over like 3-4 sittings.
Yeah, now that you
Yeah,
mention it, it's the same thing with me because I used to absorb everything. Like
yeah,
before Netflix, like in the 80s and the 90s, like you go to
yeah,
Blockbuster and get the VHS and watch it at home or
yeah, for sure.
on the cable TV or something like that. You get a DVD
Yeah,
or an album. And yeah, now that you mention it, it's like
yeah.
I don't consume it like I used to.
No,
Yeah.
I like I can sit and watch a 2 hour live show and not look at my phone once. But you like if I'm sitting on my couch watching it, like a Netflix special, like I'm usually on my phone, like
Yeah.
immediately. It's just, well, because everyone's addicted to their phones, so you just
Exactly.
like gravitate to that because that's more interesting. And then
Right,
watching
right.
stand-up clips of other comedians while I'm watching it's like Inception, and
Inception.
it's too much. But yeah, but I just love, and that's what, like, it's the same as going to see a movie in the theater. You turn your phone off and
Mhm. You're
you're
just in
you're
it.
you're there, you're in it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I love live stand-up comedy,
Mhm.
but not a big fan of, like, yeah, the because
Watching.
everyone always, did you see Segura's new special? Did you see all that stuff? And it's like,
Mhm.
no, I couldn't be bothered. But
Yeah,
if
because
he came to town and I
oh
had,
yeah, I'm there for
like
sure.
$150 to buy a ticket, sure, I'll go. But yeah.
Yeah, because until you mentioned it, I didn't
Mhm.
realize that I don't consume it like I used to.
Yeah,
And I'm
exactly.
wondering now if it's if it's about being like if I'm worried about like being influenced by
Yeah,
something that I'm like
yeah,
watching somebody and it's like, oh, that's an interesting take or that's I like that sort of thing like you don't want to be influenced
yeah.
by what you're seeing,
There's a lot of people that I've met over the years that, like, oh, I don't want to watch comedy. I don't want to be influenced,
Hmm.
and it's just like, sure, but I mean, like, you also need role models to a certain
Right,
degree,
right.
and like people that will, yeah, like, because, yeah, you want to base your cadence off of somebody to a certain degree.
Right, yes.
So you find the comedians that you do enjoy, and then try to absorb the
Hmm.
majority of their stuff. But
But like I don't
yeah,
watch
yeah,
every special that comes out or where it
yeah,
used to
yeah,
be,
exactly.
say 10 years ago, any special that came out, I watched it
Yeah.
sort of thing. Where now I'm very selective with who I
Hmm.
watch, and it's usually the people who's not that I don't admire other comics, but like say somebody that I can relate to them or that like
Yeah.
I is whenever when you start you're imitating somebody when you
Oh, for
first
sure,
start
you
like till
totally
you
are.
get
Yeah,
your
yeah,
own style and everything
yeah,
you're
yeah.
imitating
Hmm. Hmm.
so yeah, I find that I'm very selective with whose special I watch. Like somebody's
Yeah,
special comes out, I'm watching it. Somebody
yeah,
else's
yeah,
special, it's like, oh, I know somebody who's going to watch it and they're going to tell me about it, or I'm going to read a review or something like that. I don't need
yeah,
to. I don't need
yeah.
to watch it, sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah. So I consume it very differently
Yeah.
now. And also I think the fact that we do it as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
yeah, and like yeah, for like the audience that they don't really understand comedy, it's like you're also not and the only comedian you know is like Russell Peters, you know. So
Yeah.
it's like I'm not Russell Peters. So if
Same.
if the only thing that you like is Russell Peters, then don't come to my show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So it's
Exactly.
yeah, and it was like hard in PEI too, you know, with like a lot of relatives and stuff know nothing about comedy, and they want to come see you perform, and it's just like, well, you know, it's like, you know, I'm not dirty in any way or anything like that, but like it's weird, and it's, you know, it's obscure, and yeah, it's not always for everyone. So I have a lot of like, you know, aunts in their 70s coming and just like, yeah, it was good. It was good.
That happened to
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
I went to New York in June, and one of the shows I was in a festival, and so one of the shows I had, I want to say like 15 relatives. Like
Yeah.
I had like aunts, uncles, cousins, and they brought friends and everything. So there was like a whole section of the venue was like my family sort of thing.
Yeah.
And while it was great, like for the support, it also felt awkward because I was like, and
Yeah.
like one was like my 82-year-old uncle.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like I
Yeah.
had my
Oh,
mother's
no.
82-year-old uncle, my father's
Yeah.
75-year-old brother in
Yeah,
there,
I
and it was
know.
like,
It's
you
just,
know, they're like,
yeah.
oh, we know comedy, we know
Yeah.
you comedians have your way,
Yeah.
but I'm like, yeah, you hearing somebody else
Yeah. Yeah.
make dick jokes
I know.
and
I
then
know.
me making a
Yeah.
dick joke,
It's a
just so
little
you know,
much. Yeah.
like,
Yeah, and
it's,
they're always like, "Oh yeah, I know Red Skeleton. He was great." It's just like, come on, like get some more contemporary references
it's
here.
like
You should,
Shecky Green.
yeah, at least Carlin. Like,
Yeah,
come on.
exactly. They're like, yeah, I know George Burns.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. Plato was hilarious. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. But like I appreciate the support and everything. Do you like to perform? Like, does it phase you if you have like friends and family in the audience?
Not really. I'm more concerned about like the rest of the show. You know, like that's why like I don't like people coming out when I'm just doing like 6 or 7 minutes. Because then they have to like, you know, especially at like, you know, like the new talent nights and stuff like that at the clubs. Um, just because then they have to sit through like 80 minutes of maybe not great comedy. And then, you know, sort of like, but usually when they're in the crowd, I don't, it's fine. It doesn't really throw me off or anything like that. It does, because I do have jokes about my wife, and like the majority of my jokes aren't true. Like
That's
it's,
another thing that people don't understand. That's
yeah,
like we have
exactly.
a creative license that it could be
Yeah.
based on something that's true, but it's not a thousand
Yeah,
percent
yeah,
true. You
yeah.
know?
Because I had a joke like because my wife's name's Sparrow. You know, her mom was a hippie, so I have a joke about her name like not being a name, and then I also had a joke about like um about like trying you know, involved anal sex and her. So it was fine when I told those jokes separately, but on PEI I would she would never let me tell them together, because then people would be like, because
Everyone
Sparrow,
turns and looks
she's,
at
yeah,
her.
she's the only sparrow on the island, and she worked in the government, and it was like so she's like, don't tell those two jokes together, not on the island. In Vancouver is fine. There's probably dozens of sparrows, but
Oh, that's funny.
it's
That's funny.
but
Because
yeah, that's the only time that really I'm concerned about people I know in the audience anyways. But yeah,
okay.
yeah.
because I always thought that I love having people I know in the audience. And it's not that I don't, it's just I don't want to see them in the
Yeah,
audience.
no, it's true.
That's
Yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
they're
That's
there, that's one
yeah.
thing. But if I can see you, I'm uncomfortable. Because they
Well, that
did
was
yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. Like last night, Sophie's like I wanted to be in the audience. I just didn't want to be sitting in the back. So I bought tickets and like we got sat and Colin, one of the door guys there, was just like, "Oh, we could have found you a better seat." I'm just like, "No," because I was like right on the back wall. I was like,
Yeah.
"No, this
This
is
is
where I want
perfect.
to
Yeah.
be. Yeah, this is perfect. Yeah." Anyway,
So in the fall, I think it was like November or something. I did one of the Montreal shows in Vaudreuil, which is like the
okay,
South Shore, West Island of
yeah.
Montreal. That's where my sister is.
Oh, okay.
And so when she knew I was coming, because like the thing is, West Island, they don't like to go into town. They don't like to go
Oh, okay.
downtown.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
for
like they like
sure.
to stay in the West Island and everything. So when I told her, yeah, I'm doing a show in Vaudreuil, and she's like, okay, I'll get some people together.
Yeah.
And she got like 25 people together, which awesome. It's in a pub. It was in a pub, and they sat them all in the front, and like it doesn't get dark, so I could see them all.
Oh, God.
I could see them all,
I know.
and
It's so,
it's
yeah.
just so like And so at first, like the first few minutes, I was just like I was uncomfortable, and then after I was like whatever, and I would
Yeah,
like
it doesn't
look
matter.
beyond them sort of
Yeah.
thing, and then once I got into it, I was fine. But I realized like that night, I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I like to have the support. I just don't want to see it. I can't. It's got to be dark, and I can't see you.
Yeah,
I
I
need to be
know.
blinded by a spotlight or something because it
That
was.
that's what sucks about pub shows is that like the clubs are nice because yeah, like you can't really see the audience.
Yeah,
But yeah, the pub shows you can see everyone. You can
everybody. You see
see
people at the back.
you can see people not having a good time. You can
Yes,
you get the
yes,
whole gamut of the whole audience.
exactly. Because at least at
Yeah,
the club, you'll only see like the
pretty much. Yeah,
first couple of
exactly. Yeah,
rows or
yeah,
something, but beyond that,
yeah,
it's dark. But in a pub,
yeah.
yeah, you see the whole. You see everything.
I know. Oh. I mean, it makes sense why every pub has a comedy night. You just put a speaker and a microphone in the corner, and
Exactly.
it's pretty easy to get going. But
Yeah.
it's yeah, some places should not have them. But
Yeah, I agree.
yeah,
Some places
yeah, for sure.
are not
They're not conducive.
conducive
Yeah,
to comedy shows.
exactly. God,
Okay, so let's wrap this up,
for
and
sure.
I'd like to end with a game I call it Crazy Questions, and I
Yeah,
have 249 questions.
sure.
I used to have 250, but I deleted one. I haven't replaced it yet. And we're not
Better
going to
get
do
on
all
that. Yeah.
I know I got to get on that. So I'll ask you to pick a number between 1 and 249, and then I'll read you the corresponding questions. So we might do 2 or 3
Yeah.
before we end this episode.
Do most like childish comedians pick 69? Because that's
Yes.
yeah. Oh, okay.
So it's a given. You can pick it if you like, but that's
Yeah, I'll pick 69. Yeah, yeah.
okay. So 69. What's the closest you've ever come to being arrested?
Oh, I was it was my 18th birthday. I was in Hull, because you could drink there.
At 18.
I mean, I was drinking there way before 18, but yeah, it was like my first legal night of drinking, and I was pretty drunk and went into an alley and took a piss, and then the cops pulled up, and they were like, like you're like urinating in public, you can't do
Don't
that.
do that.
And yeah, and so I was just, oh, okay. And
Sorry.
then they were like, we're gonna, like, we have to write you a fine, and it ended up being a $400 fine, which is ridiculous. But
Wow.
but like I didn't think it was going to be that much. I thought it'd be like $20 or whatever. So,
Yeah.
and I was 18. I was stupid. I had no idea how the world worked. So I was just like, can I just pay this now? And they thought I was trying to bribe them.
Oh,
So they were like you just want to give us money now, and there was language issues, and it was but yeah, they were pretty, they were like, yeah, this guy's
these
like,
kids
I think
trying
they
to
were
bribe
just,
us.
yeah, I think they were more just going to arrest me for public intoxication more so than anything, but that was probably one of the closest times. I also got pulled over for because I ran a yellow, and I had like a couple beers. I didn't blow over, uh, but they could definitely smell alcohol on me, and I definitely thought I was going to get like I went in the back of the car and everything on that.
Oh wow.
But they made me do my alphabet backwards.
Who could do that? Nobody
Oh,
could do that.
I nailed it.
Oh, did you?
I support, because at the time I was working at a comic book shop, and all I did all day was alphabetize
Oh,
comics.
okay.
So I nailed it, and the cop was like very surprised. He was like, "Oh, okay," but yeah, sitting in the back of a cop car, But yeah,
Yeah.
other than
Wow.
that, yeah, that would be the only
The
Russian
only
with the
time.
law. Yeah, yeah,
But the alphabet backwards,
yeah. I
stone cold
nailed it.
sober, I can't do that.
Oh, I nailed it. I can still sort of do it, but yeah, it's oh,
My
he
thing
was
is
quite
postal
impressed.
codes.
Oh,
My
I'm horrible at
Oh,
postal
me with
codes.
postal
Yeah.
codes because I worked at UPS for 8 years,
Oh,
and everything, like all the zone. I don't know if it's like that now, but back then everything was by postal codes.
yeah,
So
exactly.
you
Yeah,
somebody throws out a postal code, I'm like, that's
yeah.
Northwest Edmonton. That's Nunavut. Like, I
Yeah,
know
I know.
that's the east end of Montreal. That's the west end of Toronto.
Oh
Like I
man,
know, like it's weird.
I can
And
barely. Yeah.
I haven't worked there in. I started working there in 1991
Yeah.
and I
Okay.
left in 1999. So I
Oh.
haven't been there for a while, and I can still
Yeah.
I can still plot on a map where everything
Oh
is
my God.
with postal codes and area codes to a degree.
Yeah, I'm not too bad with
Yeah.
area codes, but yeah,
Yeah, you throw a postal code at me and I'm like, ah, Regina.
yeah, yeah. I
The
know where all
whole
the
province of
yeah, I know where all the phone scammers are calling from. Like,
Exactly.
oh, Alberta today,
Yeah,
cool.
it's true. Exactly. Oh my goodness. Okay. Another number, please.
Well, let's pick 13.
13. Where's one place you'd like to go that you haven't been?
Yeah. I always say Malta for this, because I've always wanted to go to Malta, but my wife, well, I mean, like we both travel a lot. She loves traveling, like so much so it's like an identity for her. But she always wants me to pick the locations, and
Okay.
like when we travel, I'm just a toddler on along for the ride. She plans everything and does everything, as a good wife should. But and she so she always asks me where I want to go, and I always just like, I don't care. I'll go anywhere. Like I want to go with you.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. So I just always say Malta, and
Okay.
then she gets mad because like I'm not being adventurous enough, and I'm just
You're like,
I'm
but I
just
haven't
but
been. I kind of like
yeah,
I want to
exactly.
go.
Yeah, but I think it's apparently fairly similar to like PEI. Like it's like it's like a maritime place because it's like a small island off of Italy, and they have their own language. And I've done a lot of research on Malta, but yeah, I would love to go to Malta one day, but
Mhm.
that would be pretty. And like Antarctica, I've always wanted to go there,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
mean, who's got $150,000
Yeah. Who's got
to go?
Antarctica money? It's
Yeah,
true.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah. And I had I don't travel a lot, so there are
Yeah.
tons of places where I'd like to go.
Yeah,
I haven't
for
been to
sure.
Europe ever, so
Oh
I'd like
no,
to go
yeah,
to
yeah.
Europe at some point, like somewhere in Europe, like
Yeah.
France or England or something. But I'd like to do that one day.
Yeah, we go to Australia. Yeah, we have good friends in Australia, and we go there every few years.
Oh, nice,
That's a
nice.
it's such a horrible trip.
Yeah, it's like 24
Oh,
hours at
it's so
least or
bad. It
something.
was it
Just
was good when we were in Vancouver because there's a direct flight from Vancouver to
yes,
Sydney, so it's
yes.
like 13 hours done, 16 on the way back. But yeah, like we went there last November, and it was like a 30 hour. You have an 8 hour layover, and
Yeah, that's what
it's
the
yeah, yeah, it's
I
tough.
I hope they get on that teleportation where you just
No,
you can
I know.
get there quickly,
Yeah, it would be good.
That would be awesome. That would be
Yeah, for
awesome.
sure.
All right, let's do one more.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do 44.
44,
My age. Yeah.
your age. Okay, 44. What one cause are you passionate about?
Oh, well, I'm like my profession is I'm a butcher, so I am passionate about like meat, and like one like knowing more about meat, knowing how to cook, but also like passionate about sourcing good meat and trying to get better meat from smaller farms, trying to break away from the factory meat. So yeah, definitely meat. The like certified organic system in Canada is it's like under marketed. Like
Okay.
they don't really know how to market it, and they really tried doing it so long for like it's better for you. It's not necessarily better for you. You can have
Oh, okay.
really bad organic meat that the animals are fed crap,
Yes.
uh, but it's organic crap.
It's organic crap.
Yeah, yeah, but it's still crap.
Yeah.
Like you can make bad organic food. So yeah, I think and then that just essentially, but like the organic system is more for the environment as opposed to like, but people don't care about the environment as the last 40 years have clearly shown. Uh so they had to market it towards like how is it better for them. And,
Ah,
so I feel like they really kind of dropped the ball on that. But yeah, I mean, like I am an environmentalist, so try to like yeah, the environment's a big issue for me. It's a big cause, but yeah, I mean, we're all screwed. So so what are you gonna do?
what are you gonna do? What are you gonna
Yeah, let's go burn some styrofoam later.
Burn some tires.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Why not?
Well, thank you so much
Oh
for
yeah,
talking to me this afternoon. This was a lot of fun. I knew it was going to be fun. It ended
for
up being more
sure.
fun than I
Great.
anticipated. This was a good
Awesome.
time.
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah,
Oh, no problem, no problem. So I will have your social media in the show notes.
for
Good
sure.
luck with the competition.
Yeah, thank you.
Best of
Yeah,
luck with the
yeah, for
competition.
sure.
Do you have any other shows coming up? I know you have your
Um,
show in PI. When is that?
yeah, the PI. I think the show will be done by the time this drops, August
Okay.
13th. But I will be going back to the Maritimes in the fall. I think I'll be at Yucks there in October of the 21st of October. I'll be there. I'll also be at Laugh Lounge the weekend before that
Okay.
here in Ottawa.
Nice.
And yeah, just kind of performing around. Summer's pretty quiet for comedy,
Yeah.
so not doing other than the competitions, not really doing too much. But yeah, definitely gearing up for the fall. So but yeah, if people are in Halifax, go to the Halifax Yucks, October 21st.
Awesome. Awesome. So thank you again.
Thank
And
you.
you're welcome back anytime,
Oh, good.
anytime you like. Whenever you want to come back, just let me know.
For
And
sure.
we'll schedule you in. This was so much fun. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me
Yeah,
today.
anytime.
And Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.